Hello, my lovely humans! This is Effy Wild. I am an art journaling instructor and art witch, and I have a new program called Prayers to the Moon. This is a free sample of what that will look like. This is a recording of our very first stream together on July 18th, 2022, and I'm offering it to you as a way for you to get a sense of what it will feel like if you join me live every Monday at 10:30 Eastern Time, either standard or daylight, depending on what time of year we're in. The intention of this program is to give us an opportunity to gather together as we are without the need for a perfectly curated video or in a perfectly tidy studio or with $100 worth of makeup on her face or however. Just come as you are and let's meet as humans. Let's meet as human beings who are all experiencing, a variety of different issues, struggles, joys, triumphs, and let's set our intention for the week. How do we want to feel? What do we want to bring into the week ahead? Let's call the divine, as we understand the divine, to be with us throughout the week. And let's just really enjoy each other's company. That is my intention for the channel. There are a couple of ways to support the channel that I want to point out to you. When we are live, there is something called Super Chat and Super Sticker. Those are purchases that you make through the YouTube platform that I get a portion of, and those are like a tip. Those comments are highlighted in the chat so everyone can see your comment. It's also going to make it easier for me to see your comment if you use Super Chat so that I can answer your questions should they arise. Once the stream ends, it does go offline. So this is the only one that you're going to find here on YouTube that's been archived. The rest of them go offline, and then they are uploaded to another streaming service that I have on Vimeo. And then those are uploaded to Patreon at the $15 level. That $15 level gets you all of the replays permanently archived for you to watch anytime you like. And it also gets you a bonus entry into my current art journaling program, Book of Mirrors, which goes live every 15th of every month. So you'll get all of the replays, plus you'll get this full-length art journaling tutorial. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also going to be some info provided during each stream about what's upcoming, what I'm teaching, if I have art journals for sale. So it'll just be a way for us all to touch base and be in community with one another. And I hope you dearly enjoy it. The first stream was a little bit terrifying because I did have some tech issues, but I figured them out. I did edit all of the oopses out of this sample for you guys, but I figured out that there's a browser that I can't use to use my streaming software because it just does not recognize the audio at all. Now that we figured that out, things should run fairly smoothly. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that's it. You can find me at effywild.com. I'm also at artfullywild.ca, where I am moving my teaching platform. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I am pretty much the only Effy Wild out there, so I'm really easy to find. I hope you'll join me every Monday at 10:30 Eastern for just a pause, just a moment to breathe together. This is what we made in this, our first week together. I'm in love with it. It's so pretty. And we're going to do another one of these every week. I'll be working 5x7. You're welcome to work that size or any size you like. I will be offering you suggestions for substitutions for supplies as we're arting together. So don't feel like you have to come with like what I've got here, which is a whole studio worth of supplies. I'll make suggestions and we'll make it work. Come do Prayer to the Moon with me. I would love to have you. And here is your free sample. Lots of love, you guys. Bye. So I am Effy Wild. My friends call me a world-renowned art journal instructor, which is kind of true because I've been in a bunch of collabs and books and magazines, and I have students from all over the world. But I really just think of myself as a girl puttering around in my incredibly messy studio. I'm also an art witch, and what I mean by that is that I use creativity as a spiritual practice. It is really where I go to commune with the divine, to raise energy, to create some kind of a structure in my spiritual life. So that's what I mean by art witch. I'm a spicy psychology witch, by which I mean the woo-woo, I feel it. I feel the woo-woo, but I really focus on those things that I can do in my day-to-day life to increase my sense of enchantment with the world, to create space for myself to become the very best that I can be. Um, and I've been art journaling for 10 years. So that's who I am. You guys can find out lots more about me on my website, effywild.com, where I blog very transparently. I also have a Facebook group called The Wilderhood, which you can find linked below. I have a familiar who has to be in my lap when I'm working because that's just the way it is. Um, I remember the art house studio, Kathy. I remember that. That was a super fun place. I was really sad when it closed. Okay, so that's me. I see all of you. I would love it if you would just pop into the chat where you're from and what you're drinking this morning and where you know me from. That would be great if you could pop that in the chat. That would be amazing. Thanks. So while I'm waiting for you guys to answer, I just want to let you know that one of the reasons why I wanted to start this is because I don't know about you, but I am inundated with advertising for very pretty offerings that seem to invite you in to a space that is super curated and everything is perfect. And, the presenter has like $100 worth of makeup on her face and is wearing like designer clothing and is in a perfectly clean house, which is not this. This is not that. And those kinds of offerings can make me feel a little bit uncomfortable because I don't know about you, but I'm coming into spiritual practice with a lot of stuff, right? I've got CPTSD, I've got a history of trauma and abuse, I've got struggles with substances, I've got like all sorts of stuff that has come up for me over the years. And I'm not always happy, happy, joy, joy. And when I'm invited into spaces where that seems to be the expectation, I feel really uncomfortable. Can I get like a hands up in the chat? Just put a one or a heart if you're feeling me on this. That you love the idea of these spaces, you love the idea of coming into community with people, but then you also feel kind of uncomfortable in these spaces that seem to model something sort of unrelatable and too perfect. Oh my goodness, I have someone who remembers me from the red leather couch. Yeah, so that is why I want to do this, because I want to come to you with, okay, there's no bedhead today. I actually combed my hair. Um, but I want to come to you from where I am. And I want to invite you to join me from where you are, right? That's what I want for this program. So if you're struggling with substance abuse, I see you and you're welcome here. If you're struggling with your identity, I see you and you're welcome here. If you're in a relationship that's not working for you and you're not sure how to get out, I see you and I'm with you. If you're experiencing any kind of illness or disease, I see you and I'm with you. If you're like in a wonderful place and you couldn't be happier with your life, I see you and you're welcome here. If you're in a place where getting out of bed is a struggle, I see you and you're welcome here. If your house is a mess, I see you and you're welcome here. Like whatever it is that your circumstances are, whatever gender, whatever spiritual affiliation, whatever you're coming to this stream with, I see you and you are welcome here. And that is my intention, is to create a space where you can show up as you are with whatever mess you're in or whatever joy you're in, and you're going to be welcome here. And no one here is going to tell you that all you have to do is change the way you think. No one's going to tell you that. No one here is going to tell you if you just think positively, everything will be wonderful. No one is going to tell you that here. No one here is going to tell you that if you have an illness or a disease, you called it in as a part of your soul contract to teach you something. No one is going to tell you that here. What I want us to come together to affirm for one another is that life is hard and that there are ways that we can make it less hard. That's it. That's my spiritual practice. How can I feel empowered to do the things that will help me feel better, that will help my life feel a little more manageable? That's my spiritual practice. So my spiritual practice is not, how can I make 6 figures next year? I'm not interested in that. My spiritual practice is not about how to be the most feminine man trap I can be. And I've seen those too. I'm not into that. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to say that womanhood is the ultimate in spirituality. I'm not here to say that. I'm here to say that we are all lovely humans. We're all here with our own stuff. We're all here with, different aspects of being alive in a meat suit on the planet. And wherever you're coming from, you're welcome here. I know that life is hard. I know that for some of us, life is wonderful too. The wonderful thing, though, let's be honest, right now, things are pretty rough out there in the world. We're experiencing a lot of really heavy stuff with food insecurity and being priced out of everything and the pandemic, and now another virus out there that's causing some issues. So we're all in like a global sort of collective trauma. And I just want to make space for us to admit that, so instead of being a high vibes only space, which I'm tired of personally, hearts in the chat if you are also tired of high vibes only, I want a space where I can say, this week fucking sucked. And I want to spend some time letting it go so that I can come into this new week from a fresh perspective with a fresh page, turning the page. So if that's something you're into, then you're really going to love this stream. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to do with you guys every Monday that's possible. So if that is something you're into, could I get hearts in the chat, please? I want to know that you guys are feeling this, that this feels good to you, that you're into it. And then we're going to keep the witchery part a little on the down low, because I do have a lot of people from different spiritual modalities in my life. So I want you to know that my witchcraft is really inclusive. I am here to share and raise energy toward the attainment of our desires, whatever those are. You do not have to identify as pagan. You do not have to identify as a witch. Just be in the presence of a group of people who all have the same sort of outcome in mind. And the outcome that I'm bringing to the table is I just want to feel a little bit more empowered on a weekly basis. I just want to feel a little bit better on a weekly basis. That's what I'm bringing to the table. And Sybil, as you can see, completely agrees. I am going to have to kick her out of here in a second, or she's going to be walking all over my painty table. So I'm going to open the circle. And when I open the circle, what I'm doing is I'm reminding us all that we are not in our screens right now. We are in a time between times and a space between space. And we can feel each other in this space. We are in this space together. So as I open circle, I'm just going to light a candle to call light into our circle. And this light isn't the happy, happy, joy, joy, everything is wonderful light. This is the light that illuminates what's real. That's what this light is. So this light shines upon what is true for us and what is real as we gather today. That's what I want this light to be. Whatever divine presence you like to invoke in your life, whether that be the universe or the goddess or Jesus or Buddha or whoever it is that you work with on a regular basis, your ancestors, your guides, the spirits of the earth, the elements, whatever you want to bring in to this circle, you are welcome to bring in. If you would like now or at any point in the future when we're gathering to light a candle so that you can add to the light that we're shining on what is real, that would be great. So next time you know to bring a candle, if you have a candle ready, if you have one handy, go ahead and light it now. The circle is open. And I just want us to take a moment to put our hands on our hearts and take some really long, deep breaths together as we just speak to and call in our own understanding of the divine. So I'm not going to say a prayer out loud because I don't want to influence your prayer. I want us all to just call on the divine as we understand it to be with us. So whoever it is that you reach for, just call them in. And because we are universally earthbound creatures, I would like to acknowledge the east with my breath and call in the element of air. I'd like to acknowledge the north with my bones and call in the element of earth. I'd like to call in the west with the waters of my body and my tears and call in the element of water. And I'd like to acknowledge the south with my blood and call in the element of fire. And so the circle is open. And if you would like to feel this with me, just raise your hands. Wherever you are, just raise your hands. And feel how we are all now together in a time between times and a space between spaces. And how all of our guides and helpers and spirits, the elements, our angels, are all with us now here in this space surrounding us. If you can feel this with me, put a heart in the chat so I know you're with me. And I'm just going to roll over here and invite my cat to leave. Atta girl. Yeah, I know. She doesn't like that because she's like the art witch familiar, right? So she's like, I got to be in circle with you guys. Okay, so I sent all of you guys out a document this morning, Journal 52, that went out through the email list. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I feel like this is a really good place for us to start this program. So I'm going to, skip the first part of it about the painting because you may not have this up on your screen, and that's totally fine. I can show you the painting because I have it here. This is what the art card was made from, and this was painted in moonshine for full moon in Capricorn. But I wanted to share with you this piece of this writing. In this very complex world we live in, we can begin to think that our needs are necessarily similarly complex. Complex world, complex needs, right? We're advertised to in such a way that we may come to believe we need things that we as humans don't actually need, right? We can, if we're plugged into the socials, compare our lives to the lives of others, which is what some of social media is designed to make us do, and begin to feel dissatisfied because our lives are very real, raw, messy human lives, do not resemble the highlight reel we're being presented with. Who has experienced this? Like, who hops on the socials and you see perfect relationships, perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect writing, perfect art that you don't believe you could ever create, perfect houses, perfect studios, and you kind of feel a little bit like it's unrelatable. You feel a little bit left out. And then maybe you feel a fear of missing out. And then maybe you feel like your life is just not good enough as it is. And you have to buy the thing to make your life better. Yeah. So I know I'm not alone in that. I know that that's not just me. So we can judge our own living spaces as not being enough, not clean enough, not well decorated enough, not big enough, not lavish enough. We can judge our own bodies as not being enough, not thin enough, not curvy enough, not strong enough, not alluring enough, not well adorned enough, not feminine enough, not masculine enough. We can judge our gifts and skills as not being enough, as not making us enough money or any money, not as slick, not universally sought after enough, as not worthy enough. We can judge our relationships as not enough, not romantic enough, not edgy enough, not sexual enough, not committed enough, not hetero enough, not poly enough, not good enough. We can judge everything in comparison to what's uploaded and presented as a perfect flat lay or promotional video, content that's designed to make us feel the urge to buy now so we can get the sense of enoughness that these posts promise. So if we only do these 5 things, we will start feeling better. If we stop doing these 10 things, or we're willing to invest this, dollar amount that is often ridiculous in this mastermind or coaching program, everything will be better, our lives will be better, we will be worthy, and everything will be fine. We all have been inundated with this. So I want to be the antidote to that. And I want us all to start to focus on the basics, those basics that maybe we don't think of as blessings because we've grown so used to being presented with how much more we need, right? But when we focus on the basics, then our life gets re-enchanted. And that's what I want to focus on today. So all of these things that we're promoted to about distract us from how much we already have. Because a customer base that already has everything it needs is not a customer base at all. Do you see how this works? If you feel like you already have everything you need, you can't really be sold to, at least not in a manipulative way, right? So if you're satisfied with what you already have, you're going to be at least somewhat impervious to constant shrill commands to look at how much more you could have. You're going to be a little more settled in your own skin. You're going to be a little more settled in your own life, and you're going to be able to pass on that buy now, because you don't need it. You really don't. This week, I really want to encourage all of us to think about and count the very basic things that we might not count as blessings. These are like you may think of these as just, this is just what you're entitled to, but let's just step back from that sense of entitlement for a second. The air we breathe, the cool, clear water we drink, the food we eat, the ability of our hearts to pump our blood, the ability of our bodies to process whatever we put into them in a way that captures and uses the good stuff and filters and eliminates the bad stuff. Yes, I'm asking you to count your ability to poop and pee as a blessing. If you ask anyone who's on dialysis or needs a liver transplant or is constipated for a period of time, they're going to tell you it is definitely a blessing. When you begin to count the basics as blessings and you allow yourself to feel grateful for these basic blessings, you'll become empowered to choose the sauce you pour onto your plate of basics. Do you see what I'm saying there? So you've already got a plate of basics. And if you're grateful for and aware of what these basics are and how much of a blessing they are, you are empowered to then choose what gravy you put on your plate of basics. And you'll do that from a place that knows it does not need the sauce. Doesn't need it. You want it. And wanting is good. Wanting is powerful. And knowing you want what you do and do not need, what you do and do not want, makes choosing a more conscious act. And conscious acts are more fulfilling. So I'm going to give you an example of what a conscious act being more fulfilling looks like. You are hungry and you mindlessly grab the first thing and you stuff it into your face. That's just an unconscious feeding of a desire. You are hungry and you sit with yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I want right now? What do I really want to eat right now? And then you get that thing and you eat it gratefully and mindfully. That is much more fulfilling. Do you see how that works? So you are presented with an ad for a new art class. I'm just talking about art classes here because most of us here are mixed media artists of one stripe or another. You get the ad and you feel that you're presented with this beautiful ad. It's just gorgeous and everything looks wonderful and the art is really alluring, and you buy now without thinking about it. You just buy now. How many of you have 50 of those programs on your computer that you've never touched? Hearts, please, because I have a bunch. But if you get that ad and you sit with whether or not you are being sort of driven to press buy now so you don't miss out, or because there's something about the ad that makes you feel like your art will get so much better if you do this or whatever, and you're mindful about it and you say, yes, I want this program for what it will offer me. I want to do this program. I want to invest in this. And then you buy it. You're going to be more likely to do it, and you're going to be more likely to be fulfilled by the experience. So this is really about being mindful of what you pour over your plate of basics. So this whole thing of what are the basics and then thinking of everything else as gravy, this is not really very in line with kind of the new age law of attraction, high vibe stuff, right? What we're taught in those kinds of spiritual communities is that we are entitled to riches and all the things. And that may be true, and that's fine. And if that's your focus, that's totally cool with me. I'm not here to yuck your yum, right? I'm not here to tell you don't focus on that. But I find my life a lot more satisfying when I'm not focused on that stuff, when I'm focused on the present moment here and now and what riches are there here on my plate of basics. That's what feels good to me. So you do you, right? But I want to encourage you to give it a try, to focus more on what you already have and get into those courses you bought and see if there's anything in there for you, and recognize, how lucky we are to have food on our plate and clean air to breathe, and cool clear water coming out of our taps, because not everyone is so lucky. And that experience of gratitude for the basics is going to make us more satisfied with our lives. And I don't know about you, but the socials and advertising and all of the ways that we're marketed to can make me feel a little bit dissatisfied until I snap myself back into remembering that I have this amazing plate of basics. So I'm going to ask you guys to grab whatever substrate you're working with. So I'm going to be working with a 5x7 today. This is just 100 pound cardstock. It's just cardstock. I'm not going to do anything fancy, because this program is about getting us into our week. It's not about creating fabulous works of art that are going to hang in a gallery. So grab your substrate. I'm going to switch cameras here, if it will let me. And I want you to grab something water soluble. So what I mean by water soluble, or like water reactive, can you guys see me? Is something that you can smoosh. Now, if you don't have anything you can smoosh, that's fine. You can throw some paint over it and it won't really matter. I want you to grab a color that reminds you of the experience of gratitude. So what does gratitude feel like? What color is gratitude for you? Are you guys with me so far? So I'm going to grab, let me see here. So when I'm feeling grateful, like my heart lights up, right? Like my heart center just really lights up. So I'm going to grab this beautiful sort of rosy pink. This reminds me of gratitude. And I'm going to give you guys a second to grab whatever it is that you need to grab for this part of the process. Can you guys see this clearly? Is this a good view for you? Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to have us do is, if you look at this document, or I'll just read it to you if you don't have it with you. The prompt for today, the ponder for today, is, what are your most basic blessings? So what I want you to do today to get into community with me is grab your marker, whatever it is, and you're not going to do this so that it's visible. I'm going to teach you my favorite way of getting journaling into my art. And you're just going to, for a period of time, I'm going to set a timer. Let's do this for, I think 2 minutes is enough. What do you guys think? 2 minutes. So I don't want to force us to do 10 minutes of free writing, because that can be really intimidating. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes. That should be enough. Timer on my phone. And I'll keep the time for you, so don't worry. You don't have to worry about setting a timer. 2 minutes. What are your basic blessings? And I'm just going to scribble right. Whoa! That was my fan. So you may be writing things down like, my heart beats, my lungs work, I can see. That's definitely a thing for me. I can see out of one eye, out of at least one eye. I have clean water coming out of my taps, which is a thing in Canada. I don't know if you guys are aware, but we have places in our country First Nations reservations that haven't had clean water in 20 years, and it's something that we're working on. So I'm very grateful for clean water. I'm grateful for wind chimes. I know that may not seem like a basic, but for me it is. Whenever I hear my wind chimes outside of my window, it feels like angels are visiting, and I really love it. So I'm very grateful for that. There's the tree outside my window as well. I feel like I have a relationship with that tree. Okay, as you're going, I want you to start to shift now into some things you're grateful about yourself. What are you grateful for about yourself? So for me, it's I'm grateful I can translate my thoughts into writing. That's a basic, that's a skill. I'm grateful that I don't have terrible stage fright. And you can see me I just keep turning the page as I go. I'm not worried about this being legible, and I'm just turning the page as I go. I'm grateful I'm content living alone, because that hasn't always been the case. I think that's been 2 minutes, but I had my timer accidentally set to stop playing. Yeah. So that's been about 2 minutes. So did you guys get a bunch of stuff that you're grateful for down? And you don't have to remember this. This is magic, right? This is not something that you need to remember. You don't need to make a list here. You're just pouring gratitude into this page. That's all you're doing. I turned my fan on in here, guys, because it is quite hot. Can you let me know if that's distracting you, like if you can hear that? Because it is right beside my computer. And then we're just going to paint on top of this. So one of the things that I like to do with my art practice, and I demonstrated this in Book of Days last month, is ask myself how I want to feel before I come to something like this. So how do I want to feel today? So today I want to feel wild and free. That's how I want to feel. I want to feel like there are going to be opportunities for me to be a little bit out in nature and free to go walk down by the river. That's how I want to feel. And how would I express that? So I'll ask myself that question. So you want to feel wild and free. What does that look like for you? And then I'll grab colors and images and symbols that will express that for me. So what expresses that for me? So I'm going to start with white gesso just because I want to get this pink into the page while I'm thinking thinky thoughts about what does wild and free look like for me. Now gesso is going to be important for me to use because this substrate is cardstock. It's not watercolor paper. And it may be a little bit flimsy for mixed media purposes, but that's okay. As long as you can add gesso, everything is fine. So as I'm thinking about how I might represent this, I'm just going to gesso this cardstock and get this ready. The marker I used was a Tombow marker. It is a it's reactive, so it will blend out when you add something wet to it, as you can see. And then that creates a really nice background. So I'm going to give that a dry. So how might I represent wildness is my question right now as I'm drawing this. Is everybody with me? That's such a cool background already. I love that. Okay, how might I represent wildness? So for me, like splatters are pretty wild, right? So let me grab, I think I'm gonna grab this turquoise phthalo because it's one of my favorite colors. And it's just a really vibrant color. And brush that will work for this. Let me see here. I want kind of a round brush. Not too big because the substrate is not that big. I'm used to working quite large. So my temptation is always going to be to go like with big brushes, but not for this one. Grab a smaller brush. Here we go. Get it super wet. Load it up. Here. So you can see my palette. Super wet. Load it up. Spatter. That's pretty wild, right? If you do this, you will end up with paint all over yourself. That's a promise. Okay, you know what else is wild? Like neons. Neons and fluorescents are pretty wild. I'm pretty into this pink. This is the Sennelier rose pink fluorescent. So I may want this to mix with some of my turquoise, but not all of it, because I want to leave some of these spatters. And also, if I lose too many of my spatters, it's going to be easy enough to bring them back. Let me grab this brush. So this isn't going to show up terribly well on camera because it's a pink on pink, but I can see it in person. See how it's mixing with the turquoise here and there? I like that. That's pretty wild. I feel like I want to just grayer it. Just get some texture happening here. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Love that. Okay, let me give this a dry while I think about freedom. So this feels wild to me. Actually, I just want a little bit more spatter. Make it even more wild. So while I'm drying this, I'm going to be thinking about what does freedom look like. So I've got wildness, now I want freedom. How are we doing on time? Excellent. Even though we started late. So freedom for me, like birds flying high, is freedom for me. Any wild creature really is freedom for me. But I have a specific sort of vision right now as I'm looking at this. So let me, yes. So I'm going to use this. This is a Sarah Trump stencil. But I'm not going to use it as it is. I'm going to use it to get the head shape in and then create one of my spirit crows, because that's what works for me. I don't love using stencils exactly as they are. I always have to switch it up. That's just how I work. So I'll buy a stencil and then I'll use it in such a way that it doesn't resemble the original. Now, if you don't have this, if you don't have something like this, then just freehand it, right? And don't worry about what it looks like. Embrace the wonk. Embrace the wonk. So I'm just going to use a Stabilo all pencil. You can use charcoal. And I'm just going to get in this little bit right there, just the head. And then I'm just going to go ahead and bring it down like it's a cloaked creature. And I'm definitely going to want some kind of aura around that creature, because that's my jam. So I need a circle template. And I may actually, I'm going to change the shape of this a little bit. I feel like I want this bird to come out more like that. That works for me. That's working for me. So let's go ahead and do a circle template around the head. And I kind of like what happened here with this accidental line that I did. So I'm going to bring more of that in. Like that. That's really pretty. So I'm going to activate the Stabilo now. So Stabilo all pencil. If you guys are in my classes, you probably already have one. If you're new to me, I really consider Stabilo all like a magic wand. It works on everything: glass, paper, metal, and plastic, which is very important because acrylics are plastic, right? So it'll work on top of plastic, and then you can activate it, which I'm going to do right now. And it creates this really beautiful inky look to it. The only thing with this is that if you're using this, you do have to be mindful once you start going in with other mediums that it will continue to smear unless you fix it. So another magic tool that I always have in my studio is Workable Fixative, so that I can prevent this from smearing. So if you don't have that, then you're just going to work more carefully than I'm going to work to prevent smearing. So you'll work around your activated Stabilo instead of on top of it, the way that I will once it's fixed. Ugh, who doesn't love that kind of smudginess? This is so yummy. I like that you guys are quiet, because I suspect that means that you're actually painting. Okay, I'm just going to pull out some of the stabilo from around the edges there. And then I need this to be completely dry. So I'm going to sit here and dry this for a while. I'm watching chat, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask. I really like these big puddles, even though it takes a little while to dry. But if you don't like them, just grab a tissue and blot them up. But I don't want to blot them up. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to leave that there. Okay, that's dry enough. I'm going to go ahead and hit this with Workable Fixative. If you lit a candle, may I recommend that you move it before you spray an aerosol, because it could go poof, and that would not be good. So safety first. Safety first. I'm going to go ahead and put this over on my studio altar. So this is Krylon Workable Fixative. It is a pretty readily available. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from Michael's. You can get it from Joann's. You can get it from Dick Blick. And what it does is it seals in whatever you put on the spread. So if this had watercolors or dilutions, which we all know bleed up forever, or the Tombow marker, which also bleeds up forever, and a Stabilo, watercolor pencil, Neocolor Qs, whatever you put on here that's going to reactivate when you get it wet, this will seal it in so it won't reactivate. So that's why I find it magics. I love this stuff. And then I'm just going to go ahead and dry that. Zoe, can you get matte varnish like Krylon low odor matte? Cassie, it will smear things as you're putting the clear gesso on. It's going to smear things, but you can do it like if you have a really light touch and a soft brush, you can do it. You'll get some smearing, but not. It won't be terrible. You can also use Blair Workable Fixative, and Winsor and Newton also has a Workable Fixative. But again, if you can't get Workable Fixative, then you just need to work more carefully than I work. That's all. And maybe next week I'll show you how I do that, because there are times when I'm just like, you know, like I don't want to bother with the Workable Fixative, and I'll just go in and I'll work around all of my water soluble stuff. So, okay, so I need to do something with the background. I think I'm going to go back to my turquoise phthalo to glaze the background. Because since this birdie has this beautiful aura around its head, that can double as a moon, and I'm really liking that because this is prayers to the moon. So yes, so let's do that. Hang on one second here. My incense is a little bit oppressive at the moment. Okay, so glazing is just adding a transparent layer of paint. It's important to work with transparent paints if you're glazing. If you don't have transparent paints, you can thin them down with water. Often the opaque paints are a little bit chalky, so be mindful of that. You can also add some liquid glazing medium. So that's a little bit too much paint I've got on that brush. I want that to be really transparent, so I'm grabbing more water. Because I don't want to cover up what happened before. I want that to stay put and sort of shine up through the glaze. So if you're mixing your paint with water, there's a ratio with acrylics paints, especially golden acrylics paints. No more than 30% water, or your polymer will start to break. The polymer is the plastic that the pigment is held in. And if that starts to break, then your paint can crack and flake. So, you can eyeball it. But if you want to avoid that altogether to make your glazes, you can use transparent glazing medium. Liquitex has a version. Golden has a version. And you can also use like a liquid medium, like polymer medium, to make your paint more transparent. So if you have gel medium, you can mix it with that to make it more transparent. You can do matte medium as well. I don't tend to use matte medium very often though. I really like things glossy. I guess my inner V brush really likes things to sparkle. You can see here things are beading up a little bit. That's because there was too much water in my glaze, and the water is sort of rising up and beading up on the workable fixative. So just add a little bit more pigment to make that go away, that beading up. Sometimes it's a really nice effect though. So if you like it, don't touch it. Leave it where it is. Okay, so I'm gonna blend that out. So I need a nice, soft, fluffy brush, and they may all be dirty because I've been doing a lot of making lately. And this one will do. So I just go straight right here, just straight down. This brush isn't quite as soft as I would like it to be, but that's okay. We'll work with it. It's my fault for not having all my brushes cleaned. But, we're here in the realm of the real, where the studio is a mess. The paint water smells like farts. There's cat hair everywhere. Because perfect is the enemy of done. And we'd rather do stuff than have a perfect environment to do it in. So you can see how that just makes the glaze look just so beautiful. It also lifts up the excess water. I'm going to leave it quite dark around the halo or the aura, however you want to think of that. If you use the glazing medium from Golden, this will take a little bit longer to dry because it does have a retarding agent in it, which makes the paint blendable for longer. So be aware of that, but I just use water, so this will dry fairly quickly. So if once you dry this, you're like, that's not dark enough, just do another glaze. Judith has a really good suggestion. She's like, if you use a brayer with a very light touch, it doesn't move the water-soluble mediums below. And she says she does 2 coats. So that's a really good tip there. That's a great tip. So that's dry, and I like the way that that looks. I would usually use, let me see if I have a, no, I don't. They're all in the other painty table. I have really fluffy, soft brushes that work really well for this. Blending out, but it's fine. This looks fine. I'm happy with this. All right, so we are going to call this a moon, and I'm going to paint it silver. So I'm using Liquitex Soft Body acrylic in iridescent rich silver. If you want everything that's happening in the background of this moon to show, like we could imagine that these are craters, right? Then you don't want to do a very thick layer of the silver. You just want to get it to iridesce a little bit. I might actually bring in some pearl white from Arteza because that's a really beautiful iridescent color. Just to add a little bit more of a glow to this. So it's going to be a little bit hard to see on camera because it's iridescence, and iridescence does not show up well in photographs or on camera. But I'll hold it up for you in a second here so you can see what it looks like. Okay. So this is what it looks like. So depending on how you hold it, you see it, how it looks silver depending on how you hold it. Of course, with the camera, it's not going to do a great job. And then I like this so much in the moon, I'm actually going to put it in these sort of on either side of this bird shape. Nope, we're back. If ever that happens in future, just hang tight. Sometimes my internet just gets a little bit spotty. That's all. That's all that's going on. Is internet gets a little spotty. So if in case you missed that, hopefully you could hear me, but I just painted the sides of the bird like that. Lovely. Very happy with that. Not feeling the need for the extra. I thought I was going to put in some of the Arteza pearl, but I'm not going to. Okay, so I just want to do, let me see here. I kind of want to do some dots because dots are like a thing for me. I'm really into dots. So let's bring black and white dots, I think. So I'll start with the white. Everyone's good? Everyone's good? Yeah, so I'm just going to put some white dots. I'm using a bamboo skewer. A million thank yous to Tamara Laporte for introducing me to these bamboo skewers. They're perfect for so many things. I use them for dots. I use them for gold leaf. When I want really, really fine lines of gold leaf in my work, I'll use one of these. I use it for writing and scratching into wet paint. Pretty. Let's get some black. Actually, I could do it with the turquoise because it's dark enough and there's so much already out here on the palette. So I think I'll just go just on the inside so that this dark little bit of turquoise really shows up. Just gonna make these dots a little bit bigger. I'm gonna give this a quick dry. Okay, and this part of the program is one that my art witches are very familiar with. We do this whenever we're doing any kind of spread that is meant to raise energy. So I'm raising energy today toward the attainment of a feeling state. And the feeling state is wild and free. That's what I'm going for. I'm just going to put this lamp up because it's really glary. There we go. So this part is what I call effort is offering. So this is how I raise energy during an Art Witch session. So raising energy means you're just giving your energy to the intention. So my intention is to create an emotional state of feeling wild and free. So now I'm going to do something that takes a little bit of time so I can focus on my intention. And usually that's doodling. I do a lot of doodling in my art witchery because it just gives me time to really focus on my intention. So I'm looking at these two sides of the creature, and I want to do some doodling in here. So I'm just going to go with a sort of patterning that I like, that I'm familiar with, that's easy for me. So I'm just going to do like these little curves, and I'm going to start right down here. So these little curves like that, and then I'll bring them over like that. So it's almost weedy. And as I'm doing this, I'm just breathing and I'm keeping my intention in mind. And every pen stroke is like an offering, effort as offering. I'm being somewhat careful here because some of my dots are still wet, so I am aware of that. I'm not dipping my arm into those dots. I'm going to move over here. Stream looks good. If you want to sort of bump up the ceremony aspect of this kind of a working, you can add a chant. You can sing to yourself as you're working, you know, something that suits your intention. You can put on music that suits your intention, like whatever works for you in terms of creating this feeling tone that you're looking for. So in this case, if I were alone and I wouldn't, you know, I wasn't going to get copyright strikes, I would probably play like the Tragically Hip, the darkest one. The lyrics are the wild are strong and the strong are the darkest ones, because I love that and that works for me. But you could, you know, you could also do like Wild Horses Can't Be Broken. Pink, I don't know what the actual song is called. Or beautiful song by Patty Griffin called Let Him Fly. Love that song. Which is also about freedom. It is a sad song though. It's about letting a relationship go when it's not working, but sometimes that's what we need to focus on in order to be wild and free, right? I'm hoping at some point to get some guests in here, because there is a way to add speakers to these streams. That would be amazing if we could get other art witch practitioners and art journaling practitioners and maybe astrologers. I know some people I would love to have on this stream, but we're just getting started, so. All right, I'm going to dry this and then I'm actually going to color. More effort is offering. So I used my heat gun there because the paint pen it's paint, so you've got to dry it. This is a felt tip by Faber-Castell. It's a metallic. It's waterproof once it's dry, and this color is called Wanderlust, but it's a really pretty green. And I'm using green because I just think it looks pretty with pink. So there is like absolutely no meaning to this initially, but I always read my paintings. So if I'm like doing a painting and I notice that, you know, I notice the colors that I'm using, I'll ask myself, what do those colors mean? I always do that. So I'm just going in and adding random hits of green here and there. And again, it's a metallic, so it's not going to show up great on camera. We're still in the effort offering sort of headspace with this. Green for me is often a color that I associate with the heart chakra in the chakra system. I'm not trying to make this pattern perfect either. Yeah, for those of you who need to go, we are running long today because we got a late start due to tech difficulties. Feel free to pop out. Just know that the stream does go away once it's over, but the replay will be offered on Patreon at the $15 level. And at the $15 level, you get a bonus art journaling tutorial every month. So it's like a full length art journaling tutorial. And then you also get these replays. So I hope you'll join me over there. And if you enjoy the stream, there is, you can super chat. Super chat is just a way to tip me through YouTube. It highlights your message when you super chat, or you can send a super sticker, or you can use my tip jar down below. As always, make sure that you're subscribed. Only subscribers can chat. That's just to avoid trolls and bots and all that wonderful stuff. But do feel free to wander off if you need to. This first stream, though, I'm going to be leaving up as an intro to the program. So I forgot about that I had decided to leave this up as the channel intro so that everyone who's coming over and is interested in the program can see like a sample of what it will look like. What I want to do here. Like that. So this one will remain up. Almost done, my loves, and then we can close. So if you're here in ceremony with me and then you take off, make sure you ground when you leave. So grounding is just a simple matter of coming back into ordinary reality. You can stomp your feet, you can pat your arms with your hands, put a little bit of salt under your tongue. You can go outside in bare feet and just earth and ground the energy, any excess energy that you might have. It's important to do because you can get a little bit spacey after ceremony. That's so pretty. I'm into it. And then I'm just going to stamp. And then I think we're done and we're going to close. So I've got this little set of alphabet stamps. These came from Michael's a million years ago. And I think I want to put it right in the body, I think. Now this isn't, whoops, just dipped my arm in my ink pad. That's not good. This isn't going to show up very well at first. I am going to go over it with a black pen. That's really not showing up. I might have to actually outline that for it to show up. We'll see how it looks when I bump it up with a little bit of black ink. Oh, you know what? I could also do it in white ink or gold ink or something. I just want it to show up much, much darker than it is. So I'm going to use a Sakura Glaze Pen. This is one of my favorite tools. It has a raised ink, looks like embossing. So I'm just going to go very carefully over my lettering with this pen and hope that this makes it pop. These little letters are pretty tiny for a glaze pen, but we'll do our best here. And I don't mind when it looks a little bit manky. Like if it's a perfect stamped word, I'm not as interested as if it looks a little bit like, you know, a human hand made it. That looks pretty good. So I almost never leave anything as, you know, as it is. Like if I stencil, I mess with the stencil, change its appearance somehow so it's more me. If I stamp, I will mess with the stamp. Just going to hit that with a little bit of heat. Yay! I got my first super chat. Shelly, you're my very, very first super chat. Thank you. Yay! There are some programs where you can like pin it to the screen. I think that's StreamYard that lets you do that. I don't have that program, so I can't pin it to the stream so that, you know, like it's showing up as an overlay. But that's not really necessary, right? We don't need to do that. Thank you, Shelly. Okay, I'm going to go around my letters with some white paint pen like so. Make sure that that's working. So this is a super fine tip Uniposca paint pen. I am addicted to these. I buy them in bulk. So I always have them on hand. I have them both in black and in white. Of course, you could also use just like white paint on a fine brush. And I'm outlining this just so these words show. That's the only reason. There is no other reason for this. I just want the letters to pop, which they were not doing because the background is a little bit too mottled. But now they'll show. Let's make sure I get that white in there as well. Oh, so cute. I'm really happy with this. This was super fun. So we lost a bit of our E there. Let's just give this a quick dry and then I can put that back in with pen. And I just send out the link via my newsletter, and it also goes up in my groups. So if you want to be informed of when I'm going live, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, just because I send it out the morning of the stream. And then I just send the link straight to YouTube. I also put it on Twitter. I send it to my patrons. So my patrons get Journal 52 early now. They get it on Sunday night, along with the link for the stream, so that they're ready to come into the stream. So there are bennies to being a patron, and that goes out to everyone at every level on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Effy Wild. Link is below. But if you want the replays, that's at the $15 level, and you get at least 3 replays a month. I am planning on going live every Monday, but there will be some Mondays when I can't. Sometimes I'm away, but those instances are rare. And I will probably put up some kind of a bonus on those weeks if I'm away. So if you're over on Patreon and I'm away, you'll get a bonus of some kind. Look at that. That is so cute. Bring that up. Oh, and that was a tip. That was a super chat. So that was just Michelle saying, hey, because this program is free unless you're paying for the replays. But the $10 is just a tip. It was just a way to say thank you. Isn't this cute? Look what we did. Very first prayers to the moon. Yay. And then the back is perfect for your Monday morning journaling. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So I would come into the back of this and then just, hi, Sybil. Thank you for showing up. I would just come into the back of this and do some writing. I also wanted to show you that I bought a box to store these in. My desire is eventually I'll have like this huge box full of what I'm thinking of as spell cards. So this is the box. I bought it on Amazon. It has a little label here. It comes folded, and then you can just put it together. And I bought a stack of 100 of these 100-pound cardstock. Yay! Another super chat. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much. And then I'll store these in here, and then you can get dividers. So if you wanted to, like this will be years worth, right? This will absolutely be years worth. So you can put in dividers per year. So 2022, and then once 2022 is over, you put in another divider. So that's what I did today. I also wanted to show you guys, if you're in my online Facebook group, where else would it be, Effy? Facebook is online. You know that I've started making journals for sale, so I just wanted to show you guys the one that I just finished yesterday. So let me give you my face, and then I'll show you this, and then we'll close out circle, and then you guys can get on with your lives. So just bear with me here while I change my camera. Okie dokie, here we go. I can't see myself yet, so I'm just bear with me here. Do I have to change it? I think I have to change it. Yeah, send a stream. Send this there. There I am. Okay, awesome. So you guys know, first of all, the journal that we're making during the, where is it? During the class that I'm advertising down below, is this size. So we're going to make a massive size journal. It's going to be 11 by 15. So that's what we're making together. And this is the size of journal that you can win if you join that class. Link is below. But I'm also doing 9 by 12 journal. So this is one undecorated. And I just sort of taped up the hair so I wouldn't get paint on it when I go to decorate it. So this is what they look like. This is what they look like when they bloom, by the way. They get nice and fat. And look, my very first one for sale. Isn't it beautiful? And it's got star charms and a moon charm. So this is going to go up for sale at some point when I get all of that sorted. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to share with you today. So all the pertinent links are below. There's the tip jar. If you want to do a super chat, now's the time to do it before we end the stream. If you want the replays, come on over to Patreon and sign up for Patreon. Oh, thank you, Anne. Another super chat. Yay. And then let's do this every Monday. How's everyone feeling about this? Now that you've had the experience, do you feel like this is a great way to start your week? Are you into this? Because I'm really into it. I had such a good time. I feel like I'm ready to like throw myself into my little empire and, you know, get stuff done. And I feel really energized and I feel like I have a focus. So what I'm going to do with this is actually going to go, let me show you. On my studio altar, I have this little candle holder with card holder. So this is going to go on my altar for the week, right? So I can focus on it. So I can come over, like I can go to the altar and I can focus on this is my desired outcome for the week. And then it will go in my box. And then I will put the next prayer card in my little holder. Unfortunately, I don't have any candles that actually fit this little well right now. Because this, I think, was made for UK size tea lights. But I do have this. So this was made by Sarah Trump, who is also an art witch. It was lovely to see you, Grey Feather. So I could put that right there, right? That looks pretty safe. And then I can make my offering at my altar on Monday morning, have this to sort of focus on throughout the week, and then move it into the box at the end of the week and do my new prayer card. So that's my intention. That's what I'm going to do. So before I send you off to get on with your life, if we could all just put our hands on our hearts for a moment. Thank you, Joy. Another super chat. You guys are awesome. Put your hands on your heart. I could put a crystal. You're absolutely right. Okay, deep breath. Since we're focusing this week on basic blessings, I just want us all to conjure up the experience of gratitude for this time that we've had together and the way that our energy energizes the entire group. Everyone that was here, I hope that you have been empowered, emboldened, and inspired by this gathering. And now we step back into ordinary time. And now we step back into ordinary space. We thank the elements that joined us, earth, air, water, fire, with our whole beings. We thank our spirits and guides and ancestors. We thank whatever facet of the divine was present for us today. We thank our eyes, our ears, our lungs, our hearts. We thank our hands that allow us to be makers. We thank all of the producers of the art supplies that we use, and gratitude to each other for being here. And the circle is open. Merry have we met, merry shall we part, and merry will we meet again. I will see you all next Monday. Mwah. Bye.